This informational video is being brought to you by the Office for Dispute Resolution via its Family Support Line, the Special Education Consult Line. This video will answer the question, what is the timeline for an evaluation? Once assigned permission to evaluate consent form has been returned to the school, the timeline for the evaluation begins. Section 300.301C1 of the IDA says the expected timeline for the evaluation must be conducted within 60 calendar days after receiving parental consent. The term calendar days includes weekends and holidays. Under the Pennsylvania Regulations, Chapter 14, Section 14.123B, and Chapter 711, which applies to charter and cyber charter schools, Section 711.24B, reiterate the required 60 calendar day timeline as stated in the IDA, but further expands on requirements specific to Pennsylvania. The regulations, and in this case the language is identical in both, state the following. In addition to the requirements incorporated by reference in 34 CFR 300.301 relating to initial evaluations, the initial evaluation shall be completed no later than 60 calendar days after the agency receives written parental consent for the evaluation, except that the calendar days from the date after the last day of the spring school term up to and including the day before the first day of the subsequent fall school term will not be counted. This last part simply means the 60 calendar day timeline does not apply during summer break. Patan's publication, Special Education Timelines, is another great resource for information about the evaluation timeline. On page 3, the third row of the table reiterates the 60 calendar day timeline for an evaluation as cited in the two previous slides. Additionally, below the table, it restates the rule that the 60 calendar day timeline does not apply during the summer break. For example, if a parent and or guardian returns assigned permission to evaluate consent form to the school with only 20 calendar days left in the current school year, the school will have 40 calendar days starting the first day of the next school year to finish the evaluation. One thing to be aware of about the timeline, there are some exceptions, one being the summer break exception just covered. Additionally, Section 300.301D under the IDA stipulates two further exceptions of the evaluation timeline if 1. The parent of a child repeatedly fails or refuses to produce the child for the evaluation, or 2. If a child enrolls in a school of another public agency after the relevant time frame in paragraph C1 of this section has begun and prior to a determination by the child's previous public agency as to whether the child is a child with a disability under Section 300.8. Furthermore, below the table on page 3 of Patan's publication, Special Education Timelines, it supplies two additional exceptions to the 60 calendar day timeline requirement that Section 300.301D does not include. These other exceptions are as follows. A request is made for an evaluation of a child during the time period in which the child is subjected to disciplinary measures. In this case, the evaluation must be conducted in an expedited manner, and when evaluating a child for specific learning disability, only the child's parents and a group of qualified professionals can mutually agree in writing to an extended time frame if, prior to a referral, the child has not made adequate progress after an appropriate period of time when provided appropriate instruction in reading or math and whenever referred for an evaluation. Lastly, here are the links for each regulation and publication referenced during the video. And that covers the timeline for an evaluation from both the federal and state regulations. If you have further questions, please contact the Special Education Consult Line at 1-800-879-2301 via email at consultline@odr-pa.org or through the live chat feature on ODR's website, odr-pa.org. Thank you for listening today.